He's dead.
Hi, this is Ariel.
Bonjour!
Welcome to my channel where we make fun costumes and weird stuff. Today, it's cold. Winter is coming and I like to be comfortable. So I thought I would make some warm and cozy clothes that would be useful for once.
I don't like to be cold.
And I don't want to go out and buy fabric, but fortunately I have stuff from Ikea. Let's make it cozy. I got this question a lot, so in this video I'm going to show you how I made this ensemble without using any patterns. Just clothes that I already have. So these are covers that I bought in Ikea last year. It's Elzebrit and Vitmosa. These are leftovers from the pyjama that I made 3 years ago. And then we have scraps of actual sweaters. These ones are very low quality, so I think I'm going to use them as lining just for warmth, but I don't want them visible. And I think the main color should be this one. So this one, but for the skirt or maybe pants, I don't know yet. I think I'm going to use this bedsheet. It looks kind of grey on camera, but I swear it's green. I don't want to use any of the black of the two dark colors. We're going with this one. Let's take the pencils out and find a nice design. In France, we usually call this fleece material pilou. Pilou. I pinned some pieces of fabric on the mannequin to check if colors will kind of match. After a few options of color, I think I'm going with this one. The pink top with a hint of green and the green bottom with a hint of pink. I want the pants to be wide and comfy, so I thought I would reuse the pattern of the pants that I made for my Moraine project. This was the Wheel of Time costume that I made at the beginning of the year and where I got to meet this incredible person. Suddenly. Anyways, this pants pattern is incredibly easy to make and very comfortable and adjustable. So I think it would work with the 2 layers of blankets that I want to use. I'm going to adjust the crotch seam a little bit, just marking it with chalk, and I will use this piece as a pattern to cut the blanket, which need to be ironed.
He's dead.
It started oozing some white stuff, which sometimes can happen, and I clean it with vinegar, but this time it's everywhere. And I just cleaned it again, but when I turned it on, it started oozing some more, and now it simply won't turn on anymore. What is this? Also, it has a few cracks, and in some places it's just simply disintegrating. You see? 20 years of duty. I guess it's time to go. You really need an iron when you are sewing. Fortunately, I have a Patreon. So thank you to my Patreon, because now, ta-da! You saved me! Thank you! And it automatically stops if you don't use it, so I guess this greatly reduces the risk of fire in my house. It is the first time that I'm really excited about ironing. Look at the steam! Nice! I also wanted to test out the steaming option. I wanted to keep this blanket more fluffy. And by the way, I'm just excited about this new tool. This video is not sponsored by the iron company, but this video is sponsored by Skillshare. If you've never heard of Skillshare, it's an online community for creators. They have thousands of courses in pretty much any subjects that you can think of. Whether it's music, graphic design, painting, business. If there is something that you would like to teach yourself, it's probably on Skillshare. I am currently following this 5-step to find your photography style and develop a visual language by Amélie Stadger. I want to learn about lighting and making better visual, but there are so many subjects to choose from. There are millions of users, and you can join and connect with other people and get feedback on the project that you are working on. The best thing is that it's ad-free, and the whole catalog is available with subtitles in English, in German, in Portuguese, and in French. Oui, oui. And if you are interested in joining Skillshare, you can click the link in the description below. The first 1,000 people who click that link will get 1 month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you for sponsoring this video. And now, back to Pilou. So, now that everything is flat and beautiful, I put the pants on the cotton bedsheet. I just want it longer than my original pants, so I'm just adding 30 centimeters on the bottom. And I'm using this piece to cut the pillow. I'm just trying to avoid the marks from the broken iron. Here you can see the melted plastic. I made the piece big enough to use as much of the pillow as I can. This is the underlayer. I don't want it to poke out of the pants, so I'm just cutting it slightly shorter than the green layer. And I finished all the long edges by simply folding them twice and sewing them. For the pants to fit, I'm just adding 2 darts at the front and 2 darts at the back. I just need to measure the placement from my original pants and mark them with pins. Super simple. Then we need to assemble the crotch seam and finish it with a little bit of overlock, but this could be done by the sewing machine with a zigzag stitch. Same can be done on the green layer, but this layer is slightly bigger than the grey one. That way, hopefully the grey should not be visible. Now they only need to be attached together by the waist. I'm just cutting a long piece of cotton for the waistband. I want it very wide. And now we just have the 2 layers pinned at the waist with the waistband. These pants are quite easy to make. I think they are a great project if you are a beginner. So with one side of the waistband attached, I'm just turning it inside out, with cutting the corners, of course. And I fold and pin it on the inside, just below the first seam. Then you transfer the pins on the outside. And you stitch from the outside just on your first seam. This technique is called stitch in the ditch, and it's almost invisible. It can be tricky to get right, so go slowly.
Wow.
Now let's make a sweater without using any pattern. I will just copy a sweater that I like. I lay the sweater flat on my fabric and I cut my pieces following the seams of the sweater. Slowly, and make sure that your piece of clothing is very flat. I want to alter the design slightly, so I mark my changes with some pins and I cut alongside that. The front of my sweater is going to be 2 pieces that overlap. That's 2 layers on the front to keep my stomach warm. A little part of the front piece is going to overlap over the shoulder, so I add a little more around the neck on this side. To gain some time, I'm keeping the hem of the blanket, and I can cut a second front piece. The sleeve is folded and laid flat. Then I move the sweater and I can cut the other side of the sleeve. And then use that piece to cut the second sleeve. Again, I'm keeping the hem of the blanket as the wrist part. Smart. And this starfish is my sweater. The 4 shoulder seams are assembled with a straight stitch and a little bit of serging to protect the edges on the inside, because this sweater needs to survive a lot of times in the washing machine. And I'm doing the little front detail in cotton. It is sewed once and folded. Really easy. The last piece of this sweater is the collar. Wow, c'est dur l'anglais. I measured my neckline and I added enough so it will overlap just like the front piece. Using again the hem of the blanket and trying not to waste too much of this fabric. Then it's simply pinning it at the center back and all around the neckline. Then it's sewing it and serging the edges. Speaking of those serged edges, a little tip for you here. You see the ends of those serging threads? Don't cut them out too short because you risk unraveling the whole thing. Instead, you can use a blunt needle with a big hole, and then you push these threads back inside the seam. This will hide those ugly ends and also protect the seam. That's it! The outfit is done!